We're doing the Easter eggs and predictions for Season 5, Episode 8 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Spoilers, I'm not caught up. So, there weren't a lot of Easter eggs or references, so I'll get to that later on. But, I really want to talk about the actual flashbacks that a lot of people assumed that they were flashbacks of the team members that never went back in time to save the world. But that is not true, because there were a lot of conversations that actually happened that actually proved that not to be true, because what's called May and Yo-Yo have a conversation saying that you and I both know that they want to enslave us. That is a very vague reference that it's possible that they did not know, but it's actually they wouldn't know if they had already been back in time and back to the future and back again. They would have already known that outcome, that they are going to enslave us. So yeah, but during that conversation, Robin kept saying Flint, 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 and Yo-Yo outright says there is no Flint. Seriously, she needs to stop talking about people that aren't going to be born for 50 years. And usually if someone says someone's name, usually you would say who is Flint, not outright say there is no Flint. But the biggest point of this conversation is that she says 50 years, because they're in 2022. So 50 years would be 2072, which is around the same time that Flint would have been born, because he is 16 years old in the future that we're in right now. So he would have been born around that time. So that is a big time frame that Yo-Yo gave there. So it sounded like she knew from experience that he was born around that time. But yeah, they say that Robin says that Mac will help Flint, and we find out in this episode she's talking about the revolution. But the biggest conversation that actually came about is actually with May and Fitz, where Fitz is just getting mad at Robin, saying that she just described Gemma's death, and I'll talk about it later on. But he says nothing we do matters. We tried. They tried to save the world already, but it failed. And then he goes on to say that Robin couldn't change it. Voss couldn't change it, a character we just met this episode that had tried to kill Daisy. So the only way that Fitz would know that name is if he went to the future and experienced these events already. But then goes on to say Daisy couldn't change it, and she had already seen the aftermath for herself. So the only way that Daisy would have seen the aftermath is if she's already went to the future and back again. But yeah. Also, it keeps going. May was saying that not today, Robin. It's too early to remind May about how to save the world. And then later on she talks to Robin, saying, "Wait until we're back in the Zephyr years from now." And then Robin says, "You're not going to remember." So Robin knows that the May that is going to be in the future is actually past May. So she is not going to know that she's had raised Robin in the first place. So yeah. But then she says, "Remind me about how to save the world." So yeah. That is just 28. The flashbacks are actually a future version of our team. But hopefully they can fix it before that actually happens. But yeah. Because there's a lot of death in the flashback or the flashbacks, so yeah. But speaking of the death, Daisy died, Coulson died most likely, Mac confirmed dead, but May also had a future death. Robin said that she even saw her die. But the biggest one is that actually Simmons is dead. Because what's called? Robin said, "I thought I already told you," which is basically telling the audience that she's referring to the picture that Robin gave Fitz in episode 5, where there's a woman on the ground, dead, with two other women standing above her. So that means that woman is actually Simmons. But so that's why Fitz was sent in the future in the first place, is to try to save Simmons. But throughout these flashbacks, we find out that the only people that had no real reference to being dead, other than a vague reference, everyone dies, that Fitz said, or something along those lines, is that Fitz and Yo-Yo aren't going to be dead at any point. So I'm assuming once they fix this time loop that they're in their official fixed timeline that where the Earth doesn't be destroyed, the only way to stop that is that if Fitz dies or Yo-Yo dies. I'm still leaning towards Fitz, but it could still be Yo-Yo, but I'm assuming one of them is going to be the one that has to fix this time loop. And it's the only way to fix that is their death. So yeah, but in these episodes in the background, we see pictures of Robin's drawings. There's a picture of a monolith, a picture of a palm tree. It's possible that's hinting to or reference to the show Runaways, which takes place in California, I believe. And there is a reference, a possible connection there. There is a scene. I'm not going to say why, but there's a scene in the Runaways that possibly connecting to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But we also see a picture of the destroyed Earth, a picture of Zephyr 1 in space that we see that May had to pilot her the Zephyr 1, which crashed in the last remaining chunk of Earth. But I already talked about Simmons' death that we saw. That was referenced. But another one was actually a woman fighting the Kree with a battle axe. And I'm assuming that was Yo-Yo, because we saw her earlier in the episode where she was going to fight the Kree with a battle axe. So that's most likely her in that picture. But I wanted to debunk some theories that are going around. I even had this theory for a while that Fitz and Simmons were actually Deke's parents, but it's virtually impossible. I don't know why I never thought of it. Is because the timeline-wise does not add up, because Deke's in his 30s, and Fitz and Simmons are already in their 30s, so 40-ish, like they're 74 years in the future, so 40 years, let's just say, in the future, Fitz and Simmons would be 70, and I don't think they're going to be raising a kid that at that age, so yeah, they could be a grandchild. Deke could be a grandchild of Fitz and Simmons, but not child. And plus, Deke was raised by his father, since his mother was taken at the age of 9. So Deke would have recognized both Fitz and Simmons, but he never did. So yeah, but in this episode, like I was saying, that Robin kept saying Flint, 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 and there was another thing that she said is that he could put all the pieces together. So she's most likely referring to the monolith that we find out that is actually destroyed in little pieces. So Flint is most likely going to be the one that actually holds the monolith together, similar to how Daisy's powers could actually made the first monolith work. So yeah, and honestly, I don't see why it's a big deal. But Daisy could just keep her inhibitor on and show that she's not the destroyer of Earth, the world. So yeah, I don't see a big problem with that. But we also had, like, there was references to Cal of how he just wanted to spend time with Daisy to get to know her and all that kind of stuff. And Yo-Yo was talking to Flint about her experience of coming out as an Inhuman and how her friends just basically shunned her from their lives. And then there were references to was called Mac calling the Kree Blue Man Group. I'm surprised it took them 8 episodes to say that, but apparently they did say. Someone said that was called Vintac, a Blue Man Group out in that episode of season 2. I don't remember that because it's been a while, but yeah, they had the return of the Splinter Bombs from. And the last time we saw them, a lot of people are saying it's from season 2, but there was actually an episode in season 3 where the Kree came down to Earth to try to stop a hive. I believe it was episode 20, but episode 20 or 19. It's one of them. But yeah, it was actually the last time I believe was that episode. But I do like the parallel in this episode where May always wanted to be a parent and like had a child and all that kind of stuff, but then Bahrain happened with Katya, where she had actually killed the child. And I just love that it came full circle where she actually raised an Inhuman child. But there was actually a parallel shot where Robin is dead and what's called May is like sad and like scared at the same time. Where you see Coulson in the background looking over her. So I like that they had that similar shot framed, but in a different circumstance. But yeah, and I had these really weird reactions to 2 scenes where what's called the Cassius or whatever was talking to Sonara, and he's like looking at Ava. I don't know why I had the reaction I did, but I basically said, "Do not kill her." She's not a big character, but I don't know why I had the reaction of "Do not kill her." But another reaction I had was I thought it was very funny was that Yo-Yo couldn't say Valnexians. That's why they always call them the Roaches, because it's a very hard name to say. But I like that. But anyway, I can't think of any Easter eggs or references that I haven't mentioned. So comment down below if I missed any Easter eggs or references. And but what do you see in the future coming episodes? See ya.